Welcome everyone to Amir Shakur Speaks with your host, Amir A.H. Shakur. That'll be me. Listen, I just wanted to thank you everyone for supporting us up until this point, and we got a really good show for you today, and it's going to be educational, informative, as well as you know how we do this. Got to be a call to action at the tail end of this. And when I say there's got to be a call to action at the tail end of this, it means there's got to be a call to action at the tail end of this. A friend here today is going to be a gentleman who I've known very well, and he's going to explain a little bit about our long term relationship. And I'm going to explain a little bit about how we met in our long term relationship as well. Um, Before we get going, I just wanted to thank our sponsors and just to make sure I got it right. Old age sometimes kicks us in and we forget a lot, but I think we'll be all right. So today we're going to thank Black America World News. We're going to thank the Chicago Urban Daily, and we're going to thank the Chicago Social Justice Activist Network, as well as the Thornton Township Citizens Action Committee and all my peeps over there in Thornton Township doing a good job, as well as, got to send a shout out to the south side of Chicago and just the activists everywhere who just give a damn. We love you. We need you. We appreciate you. And thank you for caring, right? All right. So a little bit today. The gentleman, our sweep here today just means that, we have to face really harsh issues sometimes. And the gentleman I'm going to introduce you and bring to the stage really soon is a gentleman who I've known probably for the better part of 10 years or more, a little bit more than a decade. And he's a legend in Chicago and in a lot of parts of the country. He's a nationally and internationally renowned activist who spent over 25 years in a miscarriage of justice from a notorious Chicago torture situation. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And I just want to let him explain, but let's go ahead and do the sweep. And I just want to talk a little bit about it. So Commander John Burge is where we start off this thing. He was a Chicago police detective. Commander Burge was a commander and he was a detective in the Chicago Police Department, and he stood in the ranks of the Chicago PD for the better part of two to 3 decades. But what the thing is about Burge is he was found guilty of not just torturing, but he was found guilty of using tactics to torture multiple African American young men, and I don't know, Mark can correct me if there's women who are involved in this, but African American women. And this gentleman was a Vietnam War veteran, so he was using Vietnam war tactics on American citizens. Out of Chicago, and I want to do this some justice. It's a very sensitive subject. I don't want to underestimate the sensitivity of it. So yeah, I'm really going to depend upon Mark to really give us clarification and really share with us what's going on here. So here's the thing. Y'all know how we do. If y'all are in the chat, feel free to drop us a line. If you have questions, just get your questions ready for Mark Clements. And I just want you to be able to have an open mind and really, really listen to this brother. He's a powerful brother. I'm going to welcome him to the stage right now. And, we're going to give him the right introduction because I do have hospitality and I sometimes forget it, but this is my friend. So we want to make sure it's done right. Mark Clements, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the show. Amir Shakur Speaks. And just so I can do this thing right, Mark, hold on one second. Mark Clements is an executive or leader in the Chicago Torture and Justice Center. And I can remember when the concept and the thing was being built right on the south side of Chicago, and it leads one of the torture justice centers and one of the few in the country that's doing the type of work that they're doing. And I know he's been a mainstay there. He's been a leader there, and he speaks internationally. Okay. So I know him very, very well, and want to welcome you, my friend.
It is a pleasure. It is an honor. And, let me correct you. It is the Chicago Torture Justice Center, the first of its kind in this particular country.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in this country are domestic violence at the hands of police basically investigated, basically fighting for so many people inside of our prisons to win their freedom. And another area I would like to correct, or Latanya will jump all over me. It
Okay.
is also women that were taken down to police stations and tortured as well. So it's men and women. The numbers have skyrocketed based off of the disciples of John Burge. When John Burge retired from the Chicago Police Department, John Burge just did not leave his tactics and they went with him, but they were basically continued by police officers that he had trained.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for that clarification because I think in a lot of the present. So when I met you over 10 years ago, and I don't know if you remember that, but we were with Amnesty International, and we were in the Chicago City Hall, and we did a press conference that day and it was really at that point it was the fight on the ground with the torture victims, and Amnesty had played a role in that, and you spoke and you were one of the leaders of the movement, and a lot of folks who were around back then, some of those folks are no longer with us, but you were one of the standout leaders. And I said, you know what, this guy right here, and I think we just connected from that day. You remember that?
I remember that very well because
Yeah.
that was the date that reparations was approved by the city council. And, as I have stated for the past 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
that reparations was only a start to try to rectify the lives of people that had been impacted. In
Mm-hmm.
the year of 2015, however, it was not known about the women that had been tortured, or I think we could have gotten Rahm Emanuel for a lot of more money than what was shelled out.
Sure. Sure. Well, as tragic as it is, we definitely appreciate. And I think what happens, just to backtrack, and thank you for the clarification. And, the reason why I wasn't sure is because a lot of the women torture survivors, I think they probably have moved on, and maybe it's because it's such a harsh thing that happened to them. Maybe they don't want to stand out, or maybe they just really kind of want to put it behind them. I mean, you can clarify better than I can, but you don't see them to the level that you may see some of the male, or they're not as highly visible, even though the numbers may vary here or there. But again, just from what I've seen, I don't see the women coming forward. What is it to that? What is your opinion about that?
Well, women are as vocal as they can be.
Right.
We have one that is a director over at the Chicago Torture Justice Center,
Mm.
Latanya Supplet.
Right.
Latanya is very open. It is how the narrative was accepted as it was sold over to the city council.
Hmm.
I don't think that many attorneys looked for women to had been tortured inside of police stations.
Right.
And I think because that did not occur, many of them feel this day left out and voiceless. There are several that are still incarcerated. I do know that Michelle Colton was released out of prison approximately 2 years ago. She was taken down to a police station in 1996 and tortured by members of the Chicago Police Department. A detective by the name of Michael McDermott. And many people would remember that name due to the fact that Michael McDermott tortured scores of people that later won their release out of prison. He has cost the city of Chicago millions and millions of dollars. He testified in the case of John Burge, and he testified that he had lied and that he had covered up tortures. And as a result, he was fired from the office of the Cook County State's Attorney, where he had been hired as a investigator. So these cops just did not remain on the Chicago Police Department force, but they spread their wings. And as a result of spreading their wings, they were able to gain favor with people in higher up positions, as well as participate in probably alternating, covering up particular documents and events that they wanted to keep out of the eyes and ears of the public.
So let's go ahead and go to a video, Mark, and then I'm gonna go ahead and, just for editorial purposes, a lot of people are joining, and I want to reintroduce you. But for those who are just joining us right now, we're talking to Mark Clements. He's a internationally renowned activist, and he's a torture survivor after being incarcerated in an overturned conviction of how many years was that, Mark? Was it 28 years?
28 years inside of the Illinois Department of Corrections from a juvenile, 16 years old.
That's right. So you grew up in jail. You grew up, you became a man in the jail cell, and and that's definitely that's a thing within itself. And we've talked about that, but again, for editorial purposes, what I want to do is I want to talk about Burge, but just for clarity, I want to show this really quick video of Mr. Burge. And I think this is the point where Commander Burge was his actual name. This is the point where I believe that he might have passed. But let me pull up this video for illustration purposes. 1 second, please. Bear with me. One second, Mark, and everyone, let's go ahead and pull up the screen on the stage, and here we go. Can you see that? Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this piece.
And yet another huge payout tied to disgraced police commander John Burge and his team of officers.
Sally Schultz has more on the millions Chicago taxpayers will pay.
Chicago City Council just signed off on a big settlement for two men who filed wrongful conviction suits. It's just the latest payout for police misconduct tied to disgraced Commander John Burge and the officers under him.
Every wrongful conviction is a tragedy, and this one is no exception.
Kevin Bailey and Corey Batchelor were both 19 years old back in 1989 when they say they were tortured into giving false confessions for the murder of a retired police sergeant's wife. Batchelor served 15 years in prison. Bailey served 28 years. Well, today, the City Council unanimously agreed to pay them $14 million to settle their wrongful conviction suits. I just spoke with the attorney for Corey Batchelor, who says his client is a damaged man to this day because of what happened.
Well, I think if there's any message to be sent, it's that wrongful convictions not only are tragic for the people affected, but expensive and not a good way to do business. And I think all of us would like to see the city do a better job of cleaning up the problem so that we don't ruin people's lives and then we don't have to pay the big judgments.
And in a statement, Kevin Bailey said no amount of money could ever compensate him for what he's lost. Sally Schultz, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right, Mark. So come on, bringing you back in. So let's talk about the dollar amounts. How much did we pay? How much did the city of Chicago pay in settlements to date on for John Bird's torture victims?
Well, John Bird's torture victims is a very small slice of pie today. We have paid well over $300 million in Burge settlements. However, there are other detectives such as James O'Brien, such as John Holloran, such as Kenneth Boudreaux, that have cost in the range of $400 to $500 million. Kavara has cost the city of Chicago over $200 million. We have a detective by the name of Ronald Watts that convicted over 240 people, with all of them being exonerated out of our prisons. And I would say maybe sometime this year, we're looking at an estimate of over $1 billion paid out in cases of police frame-ups and tortures. You know, I know Corey and I know Kevin. Me and Kevin was incarcerated at Statesville Prison. We were there for, a great long period of time, getting out of prison and meeting Corey. Let me tell you, people don't know what trauma look like. And as a result of not knowing what trauma look like, it's not one torture victim that I know, and we call ourselves survivors, that was released out of the Illinois Department of Corrections that do not suffer from some forms of torture. Incarceration creates forms of torture. And I think that this is something that the city council needs to take a look at, as well as the state of Illinois, our General Assembly, to make it right with individuals that had to be sent to prisons for crimes that they did not commit as well. Meaning it needs to be another form of reparations.
Right. And I think that's where the fight was at. So let me ask you a question, Mark. And we're going back. Let me just pause for everyone who's just joining us. So I want to editorialize. So if you're just joining us, Mark Clements is a Chicago torture survivor, locked and incarcerated for 28 years unfairly in the Chicago penal system. What penitentiary were you in, Mark?
I was in Statesville, Little Joliet. I was in Pontiac and Menard.
So you spent a great portion, like a third of your adult life, in incarceration for a crime that was overturned. Now, for you in this journey that you're on, and I know you after the fact of what happened, can you just illustrate to the people what happened? And then we're going to go to a video as well of an early interview with you. But let's just explain how your situation came about.
Well, back in the year of 1981, a fire occurred on the south side of Chicago. Unfortunately, 4 people lose their life. Approximately 8 days later, the building owner puts up a reward of $10,000, leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect. It was a young lady in the community that basically was trying to collect from this reward. She had fingered like 6 different people with this crime. The tragedy is that all 6 people who she fingered at different times within that week and day, everyone had been tortured by members of the police. It was that these were older individuals who basically could withstand the mistreatment at the hands of John Burge and his detectives. I was directly tortured by a cop by the name of John McCann, who I witnessed also inside of Area 3 violent crimes, drinking alcohol. I remember going inside of the bathroom, and he was inside of that bathroom drinking alcohol. Well, I would say approximately 4 hours later, he ends up in the same interrogation room that I was in, and basically being called a liar, that I knew information about this offense, which I did not, and just basically with 3 other individuals at the police station, they tried to make it appear like they were saying that I committed it. Then they were telling the others that I was saying that they committed it. However, I was tortured in my genitals, in my testicles. I was beat in my arms, smacked.
Electroprod. It was what the Burr and what a lot of these police detectives, they were actually electroprodding some of the prisoners, like almost Vietnam style electrocution torture methods, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, go right ahead. I just wanted to clarify.
Well, I was not one of those victims to have the electrical prongs or electrical shock boxes connected to their body, but my private areas were grabbed and squeezed by this detective, called racial epithets, denied my mother, denied all access to a telephone, interrogated over the course of 17, 18 hours. And basically, after having my genitals grabbed and squeezed a second time by this particular officer, I agreed to repeat what this police officer had told me. Keep in mind, this is the drunk police officer who I had witnessed inside of the police station washroom drinking alcohol. I repeated what he told me. It was good enough to the office of the Cook County State's Attorney to therefore charge me with 4 murders and arson, despite the fact not one witness, I had not one witness who walked inside of this courtroom and fingered me as being the person who committed this offense. The confession was riddled with geographic errors. It was riddled with things such as 4 perpetrators, and all 4 perpetrators having a bottle, but it only listed 3 bottles. And those 3 bottles, how can 4 perpetrators have a bottle each and it's only 3 bottles? So these were things that were never examined, was never thoroughly looked into by members of our judiciary. Our judiciary basically would take someone like me as a menace to society, and they want to now gain this conviction and put me where I was inside of a prison, fighting for years, literally years. And I am careful in saying this, but no African Americans stepped up to help me.
You mean from the legal, from the community, from the church,
from the legal, from
church,
just people in general.
Right.
None of them stepped up to help me. And by the way, I was Jesse Jackson's paperboy. So the bottom line of it is being in that difficult situation for approximately 24 years of my life, and then running into a professor from Northwestern University who was white. She was the wife of William Ayers, Barack Obama's teacher. And
he's a legend within himself because, he was a renegade that was, for lack of better use of the word, but he's a legend because he was accused of a plot to blow up, what was it?
Well, the
Anyway.
Water Underground. And
Yes. I know. We know William Ayers very well. So yes. He's very nationally known for those in our circles.
So with Bernadine stepping up to help and being able to get me lawyers that were competent from Skadden Arts law firm, the largest corporate law firm in the U.S. It really made a difference. And it made a difference because it taught me one thing, that our judiciary system don't believe what comes out of the mouth of African American people, but they are so open to believe what comes out of the mouth of a Caucasian. So basically, in my situation, the bottles that they had recovered that was allegedly to have my fingerprints, and the knife in which one of the victims was supposed to be stabbed with, it was DNA tested, and it determined that this box cutter, which was a knife, it had no blood on it. And the bottles, yes, they had fingerprints on them, but they were not my fingerprints. They were the fingerprints of members of the Chicago Police Department. So
let me stop you right there, because I definitely want to, and not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but so let's get this straight. So here you are, a 16-year-old child. Give me the year. What year was this?
1981.
So it's 1981. You're Mark Clements. You're a 16-year-old child who had been picked up by the Chicago police. How long were you in jail from the point to where you were initially incarcerated to your trial? How long did that take? Do you remember?
About a year and 2 months.
Were you held without
14
bond?
months.
Were you held without bond and IDOC at that point?
Held without bond.
So you're 16. They tried you as an adult.
Mm-hmm. And may I add, back in those days, juveniles didn't get bonds.
Oh, wow. They
were at the mercy of the judge, basically deciding if they should be released and turned over to their parent. But a murder, no, you would not be turned over to your parent. You were going to graduate through the system from the juvenile to the adult system.
Mm-hmm. Let me stop you right there, Mark. And that's it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. So those of us who are just joining, we're talking to Mark Clements. He is a friend of mine, long-term friend of mine. He's a very well-known or renowned social justice activist, and he specializes in a lot of areas, and we're going to talk about that as well. But his 28-year sentence in the penitentiary was overturned because of the injustice that happened to him and torture. And his story is not uncommon. There are so many stories like Mark's that were out there that Chicago, and I'm glad you corrected me, Chicago has a Chicago Torture Justice Center, and you said it's the only one, right? There's none.
The only one in this country.
Okay, so I said one of the only ones. That's where you corrected me, because there's nothing else. So, in the Chicago Torture Justice Center, there are folks like Mark on the ground who are working to move forward to prevent these types of things from happening to others. So let me stop and I'm going to pause and I'm going to show an early interview from you, Mark, or an earlier interview from you, and then we'll come back to you. So let me pull that up and give me 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
If we can pull this. Can you see the screen, Mark?
I can see the screen, but nothing has came up.
Okay, give me a second, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna let you editorialize this a little bit for me and just kind of give us a little bit of context, but let's go ahead and play this 2-minute segment.
It is time to talk about Chicago's contribution to the world of music, house music.
No.
You're a house head.
We don't want to talk about house music, do we, Mark?
Hey.
Okay, this is what
I ordered 200 hand-forged knives to my dorm room and built a Wix website to sell them.
Imagine you're a young black man in your neighborhood, and you and your friends are picked up by the police. You've done nothing wrong except be black and be alive. The next thing you know, the police are interrogating you about a fatal crime. You and your friends tell the police that you had nothing to do with this crime, but they don't listen. Instead, they torture you. They beat you with clubs and phone books. They electrocute your genitals. They tie you to the radiator and beat you until you can't take it anymore, and you confess to a crime you didn't commit. But the nightmare is not over yet, because soon you'll be criminally prosecuted for this crime. You tell everyone who will listen that you were tortured, but no one cares. You later find out that what happened to you happened to dozens of other black men. This was the story of 13-year-old Marcus Wiggins, who was arrested and tortured along with 10 other young black men, most of whom were juveniles. Each of them was beaten and electrocuted into confessing to a crime that they did not commit, all because of one man, John Burge. He was the infamous Chicago police commander who employed torture to get black men to falsely confess to crimes that they didn't commit. John Burge and his crew of corrupt officers are responsible for the torture of over 100 black men from the 1970s to the 1990s. He alone has cost the taxpayers over $200 million for wrongful conviction lawsuit settlements and judgments. His victim has spent decades in prison for crimes they didn't commit. Some were even sentenced to death. But here's the thing. Burge's misconduct was well known in the Chicago Police Department. Everyone turned a blind eye to what he was doing, all because his victims were black. Burge joined the police department in 1969 after returning home from his tour of duty at a prisoner of war camp in Vietnam. Burge and his midnight crew, as they were often called, were known for having a high clearance rate for serious crimes. This led to his promotion to sergeant in 1977 and lieutenant in 1980. Burge would beat black men with clubs and phone books and blackjacks. He would suffocate black men with plastic bags. He also had an electric shock device that was known as the black box. He used it to shock black men's genitals. Burge would eventually be promoted to commander. And now, even though he was in charge of an entire police district, he still took part in the interrogations and the torturing of black men. Everyone protected Burge. Judges routinely denied motions to suppress coerced confessions. Sometimes, Burge's victims would come to court from a beating and be visibly injured to the point where they had to be treated at the hospital before the court hearing could proceed. And still, nothing happened. One brave black judge did find that Burge had tortured and coerced a confession. His name was Judge Earl Strayhorn. He found this in the Marcus Wiggins case. But aside from him, everyone else acted as if nothing was happening.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to stop right there. That'd be a good segue for you. Tell us about the Judge Strayhorn and what did you find?
Strayhorn. Well, right. Judge Strayhorn was a pretty punitive judge. He was a African American Tuskegee Airman, and he worked closely with Eugene Pincham, Harold Washington, and they had a firm over on the south side of Chicago. I know Marcus personally. Marcus is a young kid that was not only tortured once, but twice. Marcus had that conviction there overturned. And having that conviction overturned, he returned home. Approximately 5 years once returning home. Another crime occurred in the Inglewood area of Chicago. Marcus was also framed with that crime. Marcus is out now today, but Marcus did 28 additional years behind our prison walls. We were in great talks with Miss Kim Fox in hopes that she would do what was right in Marcus's post-conviction petition. Unfortunately, nothing was done, and Marcus remained to fight this day the criminal justice system to have his conviction overturned. You know, one thing I will say is that people who have done, I would say, the documentaries on John Burge, that information, it all appears hidden. It all appears hidden until maybe 4-5 years once it has been released. I think that the African American community has made a huge mistake by taking their eyes off of these police officers that have tortured people. And the reason being, yes, we know that crime is occurring, but is the police arresting the right people? Being someone that have put my hands to free 469 people this day, man, it's very, very hard. And I think that the African American community really does itself no good by not learning the history of what John Burge did to so many Black men and women. The history of Burge is taught this day in Chicago public schools to 8th graders and 10th graders. It's taught in some universities as to what John Burge did. Unfortunately, for 14 different individuals, it's not good enough to get them out of prison. They have been locked up for 30, 40 years of their lives. And I think that is a great insult, but it just shows us that racism, it still continues to tick on. We have, as I have stated, detectives that have graduated and now is continuing these tortures. Women, they are treating them just like men now today inside of these police stations. And long as the African American community don't know its history, that only opens the door for racism to resurface and to victimize them and to hold them basically in jungles and cages for so many years of their lives. Many have been cleared of the charges that were brought against them. But the point here is, you mean to tell me it took 2 and 3 and 4 decades to reach the reality that so many people were in prison for crimes that they did not commit? No, it was a form of racism then. It's a form of racism now today that is upheld by the fraternal order of police. So a lot of people would look at the police as honorable people, but in reality, these police officers, they stain their badge. And in staining their badge, this day, hundreds of millions of dollars each year is being shelled out to victims. Brandon Johnson, the mayor, he had to take out a big loan, over $200+ million, to pay to 3 individuals.
Wow.
That's what people fail to realize.
Wow. So let me stop you right there, Mark. I'm sorry. I don't mean to stop. What I want to do is I just want to editorialize a little bit. And there's a lot to break down here. It's very complex. We could even do like 2 or 3 shows about the subject. And I'm noted this is the story of your life. I want to go ahead and get some comments from the people who are in the chat. And then we're going to go ahead and get to the early video of you, because I was trying to find it and I think I found it. But let's go ahead and so this is Beth McBride. Burge was a bad police officer. And you feel free to comment wherever you want to. Ramona Adair, and thank you, Beth and Ramona. Those are 2 of my consistents, and we love y'all. I'm so sorry to hear this awful thing that happened to you. She's empathetic to your struggle, and we all are, Mark, and we appreciate it. This is Tony and Kenny Williams. Kenny is definitely a person who's on the forefront of a lot of the political movement in Thornton Township. Keep sharing the positive. So that's right. This might be someone who Prima Donna Bridges. I remember Judge Earl Strayhorn. Does that name sound familiar to you? Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised somebody will remember that. So maybe she has something to do, or maybe that person has something to do with the torture, or maybe just Chicago criminal justice in general. So let me go ahead and show this video while we're at it. It's an interview of you, and then we'll come back. Mark, give me 1 second. Sometimes technology doesn't work too well with us. All right, here we go. And let's go ahead and cue that up. So this would be let's see, not an earlier interview. It may be even a later interview, but let me play it nonetheless.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about the police accountability in terms of, we've seen IPRA and now we see COPA. What do you think about the oversight of the process following a police involved allegations of police abuse?
Well, these agencies have proven to never work. I remember when our mayor, now Lori Lightfoot, she was head of that department. They covered up tortures. That's what kept the men and women inside of prison way too long. When I returned back to society, little that I knew. I thought that I knew a lot about this society, but come to find out I was really never taught anything. And for Lori Lightfoot to now want to come out with police accountability, I say no. I say that this is a town that needs a whole new agency, and that agency, in my opinion, must be CPAC.
Mark Clements, we appreciate you joining us this morning, and thank you for your insight.
And thank you.
All right. So Mark. So, we know CPAC and what we were fighting for. What was the status? And explain to people the CPAC situation. And I know that a lot of that was a long ongoing. What happened with the CPAC issue? Just give people an illustration about what it is and how it was being fought for.
Well, CPAC was a piece of legislation in which I started to join other activists and helping to draft. I started approximately in 2012 or 13 in drafting this ordinance to replace all accountability boards and investigative forces that looked into police misconduct. CPAC, I would say it gained a lot of support in the city of Chicago amongst the residents. However, the political forces were not open to it because it would take the power out of the hands of the mayor, relevant to the superintendent of police. And she did not want that. As a result, she came out with her own form of accountability under COPA. And as a result, to make a whole long story short, they were given as a substitute of what they wanted, police districts. And I think in each police district, there are 3 to 5 different people, and they sit down and they examine petitions of excessive force, police shootings, and police misconduct inside of these police stations. And it takes the majority to vote in favor. It goes over to the mayor's team as to if anything, if at all, will be done. By that time, when CPAC failed, I was in Texas fighting around the case of Rodney
Reed. Yeah, I remember that.
And when I heard about it, it was a sad occasion. But basically, if the people had not accepted this, they would have not gained anything out of that hard, difficult fight. It tried to uplift and pick itself back up once George Floyd had been assassinated in the state of Minnesota. But it did not. It died, and as a result, they took on the Police Accountability Board, and that is what they are doing now.
COPA.
Well, they have a different agencies, and that agencies is over each police district. They have 3 to 5 people that have been elected by peers in their community to sit on this council and to examine, let's say, for instance, what this police officer did last Sunday, and he beat up this off-duty woman police officer. That will go before them. They will make their ruling. Of course, COPA will make its ruling as well, but to make a long story short, it all goes in front of the mayor. It all goes in front of the city council.
All right. So let me editorialize a little bit. I'm going to stop you, Mark, and thank you. And then we'll take a few more comments from the people in the chat. So if you're just joining us, Mark Clements is someone who is a nationally renowned activist, and he was incarcerated for 28 long years of miscarriage of justice. It was overturned, and his situation and his life has never really been the same. And he's used his life and his story as a catalyst to fight for justice for others. He's a leader in the Chicago torture justice movement and the national torture justice movement, and he fights for rights all around the country. When I met you, again, we were with Amnesty International, but I know that you and I have fought on a lot of issues. We were down in Joliet with on the ground with Samaj Crosby, the baby who was murdered in Joliet, when that tragic circumstance happened. And it became a cold case, which we warned the police that if they didn't do their due diligence, it would become a cold case. What are some of the other cases that you fought for that you want the people to know about, as a result of your struggle for justice?
Well, I think that I fought to bring recognition to women and learning of their situations, being taken down to police stations, slammed up against walls, losing their children. and no accountability. You know, the bottom line of it is this: God gave us all talents, and just perhaps, as people say, well, I don't think that they're vocal. They're very vocal. But the bottom line of it is, it took me, man, over at least a decade to gain traction. And that's one thing that people fail to realize. It takes a long time because our communities ain't together. And because our communities ain't together, it don't know its leaders. It don't know what it should be fighting against because it's fighting against each other. So that fight, as well as my fight around the death penalty, which is a baby to me due to the fact that I believe, first of all, that no one should be sentenced to a prison for the rest of their lives. Now, in my journey to fight against that, I learned of individuals on death row that were 100% innocent. Troy Davis, it traumatized me all over again, having the opportunity to reach out to Jesse Jackson and gaining the right to go inside of the prison and to sit down with Troy and to motivate him. But I knew
you actually met with, I'm sorry, you actually met with Troy before he was executed?
Yes.
Well,
matter of fact,
I didn't know that.
5 days before Troy was executed, I met with him. And, you know, my job was to gain support through the community and universities, and I used Georgia State as allies to help me with that mission. And I remember much as like 3 to 4 days before he was scheduled to be executed, we did a protest. I was just hoping that we could get maybe 200 or 300 people. We were able to turn out 10,000 people. So the thing about it is, just like George Skinny, a young 14-year-old boy,
well, you know, that was my case.
1944, if I'm not mistaken.
It was yes.
Taken to a police station, not to a police station, but to the judiciary, accused of killing 2 white little girls, and they charged them, they convicted them, and they executed them all within 3 months. And I think that really causes me my drive to want to fight and want to help people. But in reality, it takes the community to overturn some of these systemic issues. And I do believe that police misconduct and tortures all across this globe, that's what it's going to take. The people getting up and the people understanding that you got to sacrifice to gain, to win some of these victories. But winning the release of Brother Stanley Rice out of the prison system, winning the release of Eric Kane out of the prison system, and watching so many people that I put my little palms in and had to literally fight defense attorneys to basically acknowledge these individuals the way that they needed to be acknowledged. Over the years, your energy wears out. My energy is gone. I am forever, what they say, burn out. And a lot of people fail to realize that you burn out fighting around these particular issues. I'm still fighting, but I can't do it on that level now in my 60s as I was able to do it when I first came out of the prison system. I was everywhere, screaming and hollering and knocking doors down for justice. Now it's going to take the community understanding the importance of what reparations look like, not just for torture survivors, but for the people. Yes, many people are an attempt to gain reparations based off of what took place back in the 17, 18, 19th century, but this was their own form of having their entire communities traumatized, watching their families be sent to prison, in some instances, families being destroyed because of these police officers that locked up so many innocent people. And, you know, as it may state, some say 100 was tortured, some say 200 was tortured, some say 300 was tortured. Well, we can throw all that out of the door, because from 1991 up until 2017 in Chicago, there was probably 1,000 people that was tortured by his underlings. And the scary part of it is that most of these people who were carrying out these tortures, today they work for the Democratic Party.
That's scary. And, you know, I think that I want to segue because, you know, it's something that we need to, you know, drill down more. I definitely want to drill down that with you. Now, I want to go to a couple of comments, and then I'm going to ask you a question, and then we're going to go to another video. But let's look at, so Khalid London. Thank you, Brother Mark, for your service, particularly with the New African community. Here is another one. Sunshine, inspiring life. It is horrible that they tortured so many people. They never had to serve time for this. Yeah, so, you know, to that point, I definitely want to segue, Sunshine, and Mark. You know, we know that Commander Burge, you know, passed away, and he lived comfortably down in Florida. And, you know, he really never really faced the consequence. He actually never really, let me be very specific. He never faced the consequences for his actions. We got to be clear about that. Let's go to a video, Mark, and then I'm going to come back and let you comment about that legacy and what it is. Give me 1 second. And stop. We're going to share the screen. Give me 1 second. And Mark, one thing that I do want to do is I'm not gonna hold you too much longer, but just, you know, I want you to think about the future and what it is, and that's kind of what we want to relate to the people, especially the work that you're doing down at the Chicago Torture Justice Center. 1 second while I pull this up. Okay. And we'll just do it this way.
Associated with decades of abuse, John Burge died today in Florida, where he had been living.
CBS 2's Mai Martinez is in the control room with a closer look back at a dark chapter in Chicago crime fighting. Mai.
Well, Rob and Erica, despite never being charged with torturing suspect, John Burge's name became synonymous with police brutality. Some of those cases are still pending today, decades after the alleged torture.
I don't know that John Burge got a fair shake. Based on the years and years and years of service he gave the city.
Former Fraternal Order of Police President Dean Angelo was one of the first to publicly react to news of John Burge's death.
John Burge put a lot of bad guys in prison that belonged to be there.
But it's the ones put in prison who didn't belong there that made John Burge one of the most infamous Chicago police officers. More than 100 men claim from the 1970s to the 1990s, Burge and officers under his supervision tortured them into confessing to crimes they did not commit. For Anthony Holmes, it was a 1973 murder.
I felt the electricity go through my body, and I fell out the chair onto the floor. How can you be quiet when somebody put electricity through your body and suffocating you? You can't, you ain't got no control.
A decade later, in 1983, Daryl Cannon says he too was tortured by Burge and his detectives using an electric cattle prod.
I looked at their faces, and believe me, they enjoyed what they were doing. It wasn't a job. It was just fun and games.
Burge was never charged for his role in the alleged brutality, but in 2010, he was convicted and sentenced to 4.5 years in federal prison for obstruction of justice and perjury after he lied under oath about committing or witnessing torture during a civil lawsuit. The Reverend Jesse Jackson, a longtime opponent of Burgess, today offered prayers to his family.
As a person, may his soul rest in peace. As a policeman, he did a lot of harm to a lot of people.
The city of Chicago has paid out more than $100 million to settle dozens of lawsuits associated with Burge and his officers. A spokesperson for the city tells us 2 of those cases naming Burge as a defendant are still open. Reporting live from the newsroom, Mai Martinez, CBS 2 News.
So, Mark, what's your thoughts? And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, how the squad that Burge worked at and worked with, what was the name of that squad? It was infamous.
The Midnight Crew.
The late night crew.
No, the Midnight Crew.
The Midnight Crew. How many members of that crew were they?
It was approximately like 35 to 40 of them.
How many were prosecuted?
None.
How many?
Not one.
So all of them pretty much served their time and retired at this point, or are there any that are still actively on the Chicago Police Force?
No.
So pretty much
they all retired from the police force. Many of them went into either politics. 2 of them became to be attorneys. And some of them have, like, they run these security firms around the city of Chicago, but none of them were ever held accountable. And let me be clear here. John Burge was never, ever charged for taking people down to police stations and torturing them. He was charged for obstruction of justice and perjury for lying about the torture through a federal court document. So yes, John Burge had to go to prison for 4 years and a month, and he was released out of our federal prisons, Butler Prison in North Carolina, for good behavior.
Wow. Did he get his pension from the Chicago
Yes,
police?
he always got his pension. It never stopped, even when he had went to prison. Now, the killing aspect of this is that John Burge and Jesse Jackson Jr. was in the same prison.
Well, I'll tell you, Jesse's better. Reverend Jackson Sr. is better than me, because I wouldn't pray for John Burge's soul, and hopefully, we pray that the people who were victimized by John Burge, who are still around, continue to find justice. With that in mind, there was one aspect which we didn't talk about, and we're going to wrap up real quick, Mark, but I definitely want to ask you now, what about the executions? Do we have a status of how many people is there an idea how many executions happened under this whole Burge in this era?
Well, it was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 17 people that were tortured by members of the Chicago Police Department had been put on death row. None of them, to my knowledge, was executed. The problem is that we had 17 people that had been released out of our prisons. No, 13 released and out of our prison, and 12 of them executed. Meaning the 13 was exonerated because it was determined that they had been wrongfully convicted, while 12 of them had been executed. And I think that number reached so high due to the fact that the system just didn't care. It didn't care And it took a George Ryan being faced with possible federal charges to really step up and to really sound the alarm about the Burge torture, or maybe I would not be free myself out of the prison system. But none of them, to my knowledge, some of them died in prison, and they died of this poor medical services behind your prison walls, and they just don't care. But none of them, thank God, was not executed.
So what's the way forward, Mark, and the work that you're doing? And let me just be the first to say that, brother, I got love for you, and I'm glad that you reached out to me after all of these years. I just moved back to Chicago. You know that very well. You were the people don't know. I want to share this. You were one of my best men at my wedding. And we got a history. So we gotta continue that work. But I think the positive thing and the thing that I find solace in, is that we can smile about your activism and my activism. But I definitely want to be able to look forward to the days ahead. So what are some of the things and some of the projects that you have? And then I want you to tell the people a little bit about the Chicago Torture and Justice Center. Let's talk about some of the current projects that you have first.
Well, I think that the Illinois State Murder Registry in the state of Illinois is barbaric, because what it does do, it extends for 10 years the parole of men and women who have to register yearly on this murder registry. I would love to see that registry gone. We are concurrently working exploratory committees right now to get the reaction of the victims of the murder registry, as well as the state lawmakers, because we need legislation to get rid of this. This is what keep people in bondage and keep them in slavery. They can't move forward once being released out of a prison. Also, we are taking a look at forms of what they say resolutions within the Cook County Board to basically agree that the tortures after Burge had been fired from the Chicago Police Department, that they continued. And we are also considering a possible reparations package. And I would love to see that reparations package reach reality, because, as I brought forward, females were tortured. They were separated from their families. They had to go through a lot of hardship. The women inside of the prisons are greatly mistreated because they are in humane prisons. One of them being the Logan Correctional Facility. So I would love to see them gain at least some relief out of these things that we are doing. Also, I do court watch. That means I monitor cases roughly 5 days a week. I'm at the courthouse, sitting there trying to aid, boost, and strengthen families to stand up. And basically, you have to fight back. If you don't fight back, you get nothing. The Chicago Torture Justice Center, as I have stated, first of its kind. We have half of our staff are people that are impacted. And not only impacted people, but we have people from the community that works there. And that was always my dream, to be in the position to be able to give people competent wages and working a job. So, and I think that's Latanya in the white, but she is a torture survivor. And I think that people need to really get involved with Chicago Torture Justice Center. We are located right in the Woodlawn community in Chicago, 6337 on South Woodlawn. We are open on Mondays. We are open on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We work each and every day. That's only in office dates. And we are open from 10 until 6 p.m. In the evening. But Chicago Torture Justice Center has a re-entry. We provide psychological and clinical services to men and women that were impacted, not just torture survivors, but people that were impacted. We provide also treatment to people who have lost their children at the hands of Chicago police. We have a re-entry department that help brothers and sisters to get housing, jobs, to basically try to stabilize them out here in this society. We have a graphics department. We have computers that we try to teach brothers and sisters that were in prison just basically how to regroup back out here in this society. I am part of the organizing team. I am a senior organizer. And like I tell people each and every day, I fight for the slaves to be free. So many people may have a problem with that terminology, slaves, but that's the way that the system treated many of these brothers and sisters before they went to prison and after they have served at least what they call it, these bogus stints of incarceration, which all of them, each and every last one of them, stretched between 15 years of incarceration to over 40 plus years of incarceration inside of our prison system. And I think that it is a blessing to have men and women that come from where these brothers and sisters are housed and to welcome them back and to try to help them and to stabilize their lives. So it may sound like it ain't a lot of work. It is a lot of work. We have approximately, I know on my court calendars, I have 72 people who I go to court for. So people may take that to be something that is manageable. It is clearly not something that is manageable. I've sat down with every leader in the state of Illinois, as well as in the city of Chicago, to try to bring some sunshine to these difficult situations.
Mark, can I say this, and I'm just going to read the mission real quick. The Chicago Torture Justice Center seeks to address the traumas of police violence and institutionalized racism through the access to healing and wellness services, trauma-informed resources, and community connection. This center is a part of and supports a movement to end all forms of police violence. Listen, that work is God's work, brother. We love you, man. And the path ahead, and what you're doing is so valuable. not just to the community locally, not just to Chicago, but nationally and even internationally. So we want to support you in your work, and we wish you definitely well in the days ahead. I definitely have some things that I would like for you to meet. And, I want to start doing call to actions, because if we're here and we're having these valuable conversations, maybe a call to action at the end of it would be great. But for the call to action for you, I mean, what are maybe one or two things that people can help you with the mission down at your personal mission or the Chicago Torture and Justice Center? Give us three things that you think that you foresee going forward in the path ahead.
I think that people need to get involved with the Chicago Torture Justice Center. I think people need to get involved with court support. That means getting up and going to these court hearings to show support for these brothers. And many of their situations, brothers and sisters, their families have died while they were locked up inside of our prisons. I think that also people need to get involved with the call to action as there are protests, as there are news conferences. People need to get involved and to demand that their tax dollars be spent in a competent manner towards restoring the lives of those in which city officials, and that's no other way, police officers are city officials, to restore their lives. And if their lives are not restored, they only remain broken, and that does no good for this society.
We have 5 minutes or less left, and what I want to meet you with that challenge, Mark, and I want to say that two things. The wrongfully incarcerated in the United States of America is an epidemic that we don't spend enough time on. And to your point, and you said it very well, we have to be disciplined and not look at these things as just a phenomenon that's happening to somebody else, because we only take notice and stop and want to fight it when it happens to our family or when it happens to us. But it's going on every day. And every day in the courts across America, these courtrooms, these judges are sitting on the bench and they try people and they throw away the key and it goes unchallenged, and some of these judges and some of these bad prosecutors, I mean, they're 20, 30 years on the bench and 20, 30 years of just bad work and working against the people. We got to start calling these folks out. And I think that would be a great mission for us in the days ahead, to hold some of these prosecutors and some of these judges accountable, because I mean, they're doing collateral damage and no one ever calls them out, and I could
100%.
Yeah, I mean, and I could throw out one Supreme Court level one, Judge Clarence Thomas, I mean, but we can talk about even municipal court judges. We could talk about, appellate court judges. I mean, they're just rampant. The system is rampant and the scales are so unbalanced, man. So this is the God's work. You're doing God's work and I appreciate you for it. Any last comments to the people? And we all want to thank you, and we want to thank you for your work, but any last comments? Is there anything that you would say?
As I have stated, I urge the people to get involved with the Chicago Torture Justice Center. Everyone knows someone that is incarcerated. And when we tell you, I don't believe in guilt and innocence. I don't believe in innocence and because someone is guilty. I look at reforming people that have been broke. And I think that we had to fight for a very long time to get a center that would at least provide trauma treatment to so many different people. We know the systems are not going to do it. So people, get involved with Chicago Torture Justice Center. How can you do that? Guess what? You can Google www.chicagotorturejustice.org. Please do that. Or you can give us a call. This number may sound strange, but it is the number. It is 773-966-6666. Let me say that again. It is 773-966-6666. That is our telephone number. And if you would like to contact me, I can be reached over Facebook. I'm on every social media platform. So people can't say they don't know me or don't know how to get hold of me. My email, I can be contacted at mark@chicagotorturejustice.org.
I'll make sure, Mark, that we put your contact information and your email address at the Justice Center in the stream if anyone has anything for you and, you know, they need your support. So listen, brother, I want to thank you. It's been an amazing hour and a half with you. And, you know, you and I, we got unfinished work. You know what I mean, man?
Work. I need some energy, people.
and we do that by getting support, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. Hey, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody who's joined. Please share the live stream, like the page, and let's reach out to Mark and let's, continue to support him in his valuable work. And y'all know how we do. So again, we appreciate y'all and thank y'all again. And hey, we look forward to future discussions with this brother here. He's a great brother. So peace, man. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yes. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.